String theory proposed to be a unified theory of physics. That is, it is supposed to be the most fundamental theory that describe all particle interaction, particle types, and gravity, which mean both known particle interaction and perhaps currently unknown particle interaction. We can gain some insights into the unification of all forces into a single framework by building up quantities from the fundamental constant in the theory. If you have studied quantum field theory, then you know that a dimensionless constant called the fine structure constant can be constructed out of E, H bar, and C, where E is the charge of electron, H bar is Planck's constant, and C is the speed of light. The fine structure constant alpha gives us a measure of the strength of the electromagnetic field through the coupling constant. It is given by alpha electromagnetic field equals E square or P H bar C, or equal to 1 divided by 137, which is less than 1. The fact that alpha EM less than 1 is what makes perturbation theory possible, since we can expand a quantity in powers of alpha EM to obtain approximate answer. Similar procedure can be applied to gravity. We consider the gravitational force because it is the only force not described in a unified framework based on quantum theory. The other known force, the electromagnetic, the weak, and the strong force, are described by the standard model. While gravity sits on the sidelines relegated to the second string classical theme, the constant important in gravitational interaction include Newton gravitational constant G. So Newton gravitational constant G, the speed of light C, and if we are talking about quantum theory of gravity, then we need to include Planck constant H bar. Two fundamental quantities can be derived using this constant, a length and a mass. This tells us the distant energy scales over which quantum gravity will start to become important. First, let's consider the length, which is aptly called Planck length. It's given by P equals G H bar divided by 3. This is 10 to the power of minus 35 meters. This one very small distance. For comparison, the dimension of typical atomic nucleus is equal 10 to the power of minus 15 meters, which is bigger than the Planck length by a factor of 10 to the power of 20. This means that quantum gravitational effect can, naively at least, be expected to take place over very small distance scale. To probe such small distance scale, you need very high energy. This is confirmed by computing Planck's mass, which turned out to be given by MP equals H bar divided by GC, about 10 to the power of minus 8 kilogram. While this is a small value to what might be measured when considering your waistline, it is pretty large compared to the masses of the fundamental particles. This tells us again that high energy are needed to probe the realm of quantum gravity. The Planck mass also turns out to be the mass of a black hole, where its Schwarzschild radius is the same as its Compton wavelength. Suggesting that this is a length scale at which quantum gravitational effect becomes significant. Next, we can form a Planck time. This is given by Tp equals Lp divided by C, which is about 10 to the power of minus 44 seconds. This is a small time interval indeed. So if you think quantum gravity, think small distance, small in time interval, and large energies. At these high energies, gravity becomes strong. To see how this works, think about the following. In a freshman physics course, you learn that the electromagnetic force is something like 10 to 40 times as strong as the gravitational interaction. But at the high energies we are describing, where quantum gravity becomes important, the strength of a gravitational interaction is comparable to that of the other forces. Gravity becomes strong and hence is important in particle interaction. Since the particle accelerators that are currently in existence, or that can even be dreamed up, probe energies that fall on a much smaller scale, gravity can be considered to be extremely weak at presently accessible energies.